What you are about to hear is a story that was never supposed to come out, but it did. And once you hear it, you will not be able to forget it. Hello, friends. My name is James, and you are watching Royal Daily Report, your number one source for the most exclusive and most shocking royal stories on the internet. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button right now because tonight we are telling a story that will change everything you thought you knew about Archie and Lilibet. And if you have been with us from the beginning, you already know. We never hold back. We never pull back. Let us get into it. A door has opened inside Buckingham Palace. A door that stayed firmly shut for years. And behind that door, according to sources who know exactly what happened, the crown has approved something that nobody was prepared for. Not a warning, not a temporary measure, not a pause. Something final, something permanent, something that will change the future of two children forever. These are not the children of strangers. These are Archie Harrison and Lilibet Diana, the children of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the grandchildren of a king. And what the palace has quietly done to them, without a press conference, without a television announcement, without a single royal trumpet, is the most calculated and most devastating move the monarchy has made in a generation. For years the world waited, watched, whispered, wondered if the palace would ever speak. And the palace said nothing. Absolutely nothing. That silence became its own mystery. But now the silence has broken. And what it reveals is not what anyone expected. Because the royal institution, the same institution that runs entirely on rules and duty and centuries of history, has moved quietly and deliberately to erase Archie and Lilibet's place within the royal structure. No ceremonial titles, no recognition as future heirs, no position in the line of succession, not even a mention in the official records that tell the story of the monarchy. Gone. Quietly. Finally. Permanently. And here's the part that makes this so extraordinary. The palace did not announce this loudly. They did not call the press. They simply filed the documents. Coldly. Silently. And finally. Because for the monarchy, this is not emotional. It is not personal revenge. It is not punishment. It is something far more powerful than any of those things. It is protocol. And protocol, in the world of the British monarchy, bends for absolutely nobody. To understand why the crown acted now and why this move cannot be undone, you have to go back more than 100 years. Back to a king who shaped the royal family's entire identity with a single document that still controls the royal bloodline today. The year is 1917. The world is at war. Empires are collapsing. And inside Buckingham Palace, King George V makes a decision that will echo through the entire next century. He signs what becomes known as the Letters Patent of 1917, a set of royal rules so strict and so precise that even modern royals are completely bound by them today. These rules answer one fundamental question: who is truly royal? Not who feels royal, not who is popular, not who has a famous parent, but who is officially recognized by the crown. King George V created 3 requirements, 3 boxes that must be checked without any exception. First, legitimate royal bloodline. The child must come from the royal family in a way the crown officially recognizes. Second, official birth registration with the crown. The birth must be documented according to royal standards, witnessed, verified, and recorded in the royal archives. Third, connection to the Church of England. A royal christening is not decoration or tradition. It is a legal and spiritual seal that ties the child permanently to the monarchy. These laws were designed to protect the crown from confusion and manipulation. They were created to guard the royal bloodline as tightly as possible. And for over 100 years, these rules worked without fail. No shortcuts, no exceptions, no bending. Not for anyone. Now bring that rule book forward to today, to Harry and Meghan's children. When palace officials looked at Archie and Lilibet, they did not see scandal or drama or interviews. They saw a checklist, and sources say that checklist had cracks that could not be ignored under the 1917 rules. cracks that started the moment Archie entered the world. Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor was born in 2019. At first, everything looked completely normal. Royal fans celebrated. News outlets announced the birth. Harry and Meghan smiled for cameras holding their new baby. It seemed like a perfect royal moment. But deep inside the paperwork, the place where the palace pays its most careful attention, something happened that nobody could explain. Archie's birth certificate, originally filled out with Meghan's full legal name Rachel Meghan Markle, was suddenly changed. Not corrected, not updated, rewritten. Her entire name was removed and replaced with Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. That is not normal. Birth certificates are not branding tools. They are legal records, permanent documents that determine a child's rightful place in history. Meghan said she never approved the change. She claimed the palace forced it. The palace denied her version completely. Both sides pointed fingers. Neither side backed down. And in that disagreement, something very dangerous entered the official record. Not gossip, not rumor, not online speculation. Real doubt inside a legally binding royal document. And to the monarchy, doubt is not just inconvenient. It is completely unacceptable. A crack in a royal child's documentation is like a crack in the crown itself. That single change, that quiet decision to rewrite a birth certificate, was the first sign. The first crack. The first hint that Archie's place in the royal system was already unstable. And the clock started ticking the moment that ink dried. By the time Lilibet was born, the palace had already made a quiet internal choice. It would step back, then it would step away, and eventually it would close the door entirely. When Lilibet Diana arrived in June 2021, royal watchers expected the familiar scene they had witnessed for generations. A palace statement, doctors confirming the birth, royal aides stepping forward. A sense of ceremony that said another chapter has been written into the Windsor story. But that did not happen. The announcement came from thousands of miles away in sunny California through a carefully polished press release. No royal trumpets. No palace balcony. No senior aides stepping forward. Not even a formal acknowledgement from Buckingham Palace beyond the bare minimum. It was as if the birth of a prince's daughter was simply a private event for a private couple. And for the monarchy, that silence was not a small thing. It was a signal. Royal births have never been ordinary events. For centuries, they have been treated like national milestones. Recorded, witnessed, verified, placed into official archives where historians and future generations could trace the royal bloodline. But with Lilibet, the palace's hands were nowhere near the paperwork. No royal registrar. No traditional supervision. No British doctor signing anything. The crown did not take ownership of the moment. And in royal language, silence is louder than any shout. Sources say that for insiders, this was the moment they realized the palace had quietly stepped aside. Without the crown's direct involvement in the earliest documents of Lilibet's life, the royal system had no footing, no solid ground, no official tie binding this newborn to history. It was unprecedented, a birth the monarchy did not fully claim. And in that quiet absence, the future took a very sharp turn. Then came the moment that should have permanently sealed Lilibet's place in royal history, but instead broke it. Months after Lilibet's birth, Meghan proudly shared that her daughter had been baptized in California. Photos were taken. Guests were invited. The ceremony was filled with warmth and family celebration. But inside Buckingham Palace, the reaction was completely different. According to sources, the Church of England, the very institution woven into the foundation of the monarchy, did not recognize the baptism as official. And without the Church's recognition, the royal system has no record of the child's spiritual connection to the crown. This detail, which might seem minor to the outside world, is enormous in royal law. A royal christening is not just a religious moment. It is a seal, a formal declaration that says this child belongs to the crown. Royal clergy, royal witnesses, everything done precisely by the book. But none of that was present in California. There was no archbishop, no Church of England registrar, no royal oversight. And because of that, the baptism in the eyes of royal protocol simply did not count. This placed Lilibet in what insiders describe as a dangerous limbo, loved by her family, celebrated by her parents, but completely unrecognized by the monarchy. Instead of strengthening her position, the ceremony did the exact opposite. It weakened the ties the crown needed to formally acknowledge her as a royal heir. Two cracks now existed, one in Archie's birth documentation, one in Lilibet's christening, and as those cracks spread, the foundation began to tremble. By the time these cracks became impossible to ignore, Harry could feel something slipping away, something deeper than any argument or misunderstanding. According to sources familiar with the private conversations, Harry began making phone calls late into the night. Not calls filled with anger, not calls filled with royal formality, calls filled with genuine fear. Harry, the boy who grew up inside palace hallways, who watched guards change, who heard footsteps echo through centuries of royal tradition, now found himself standing completely on the outside, watching the doors close in front of him. And the thing hurting him most was not losing titles for himself. It was the thought of Archie and Lilibet losing something they never asked for, something he believed was theirs by blood. Sources say he begged the palace to reconsider. He explained that stepping back from working royal duties did not mean stepping away from the Windsor bloodline. He believed Archie and Lilibet were still fully entitled to their place. They were still the grandchildren of a king. They still carried the same blood that runs through the House of Windsor. But the palace's response was not emotional. It was not warm. It was not sympathetic. One aide allegedly told him in the most controlled and chilling way imaginable, "This is not about emotion. This is about order, lineage, and the future of the crown." For Harry, it was like hitting a wall made of solid ice. A wall that refused to melt. A wall that reminded him that the monarchy is bigger than any individual, even a prince who once walked those same corridors as a child. And when Harry finally realized he could not change the palace's mind, something inside him broke. He was not just losing an argument. He was losing the legacy he had believed he could pass down to his son and daughter. A legacy now slipping quietly into silence. And then the palace made its final irreversible move. In the world of royalty, the most powerful decisions are not delivered through speeches. They are delivered on paper, in ink, in the quiet turning of pages behind palace doors. According to insiders, the crown finalized the documents that officially removed Archie and Lilibet from royal identity entirely. The decision was not written in dramatic language. It was not made public with fanfare. It was written the way the monarchy prefers. Quietly, confidently, permanently. The consequences were brutal in their simplicity. No prince or princess titles. No ceremonial roles. No future royal duties. No position in the line of succession. No place in the official records that document royal heirs. Within the pages that record royal history, the same books where the names of princes and princesses live for centuries, Archie and Lilibet's names would not be written. Not as heirs, not as future royals, not as part of the crown's continuing story. They would simply not exist within the institution their father was born into. And unlike temporary punishments or paused privileges, this decision was final. No appeals, no negotiations, no room for last-minute changes. While Harry and Meghan spent years telling their story through interviews and books and documentaries, the palace played a completely different game. The monarchy did not argue. It did not defend itself. It did not fight back publicly or counter any specific claim. It stayed silent. Because silence in royal strategy is not weakness. It is a weapon, a shield, a way of waiting for the exact right moment to act while letting all the noise burn itself out. According to sources close to the institution, the palace watched everything from a comfortable distance. The interviews, the claims, the public moments, without rushing. Without reacting. The crown does not compete in public opinion battles. It plays the long game, the generational game. And when the moment was right, it made one precise surgical move. Not directly against Meghan, not directly against Harry, but against the very foundation of their entire public identity. Because without titles, there are no young heirs. Without heirs, there is no royal lineage continuing in California. Without lineage, there is no dynasty to challenge the crown's control of its own story. Years from now, someone will open the royal archives. The giant heavy books that hold the names of kings and queens and princes and princesses. Books older than many countries. Books that tell the story of 1,000 years of monarchy. They will turn the pages carefully. They will see George. They will see Charlotte. They will see Louis. They will see every child born and officially recognized within the Windsor line. But there will be no Archie. There will be no Lilibet. Because the monarchy made a deliberate conscious choice. These children will not be part of our history. Archie and Lilibet will grow up in California far from palace gates and royal expectations. They will laugh in the sunshine, play in the garden, go to school like ordinary children. They will know love and family and genuine freedom. But they will never know what it feels like to stand on a royal balcony. Never hear their names announced with titles before them. Never see their portraits hanging in Buckingham Palace. Never be written into the books that outlive time itself. Not because of anything they did wrong. Not because of any failure on their part. But because the crown decided that legacy is not built on emotion or fame or interviews. Legacy is built on rules, on lineage, on tradition that bends for absolutely no one. And that silence, the silence of their names missing from the pages of royal history, is louder than any interview, louder than any argument, louder than any scandal that ever made the front pages. It is final. It is permanent. It is the quietest and coldest move the palace has ever made. And as this chapter closes, one truth becomes completely clear. The monarchy never raises its voice. It does not need to. Its silence is always the loudest sound in the room. That is all for tonight, friends. I am James, and this has been Royal Daily Report. If this story hit different for you tonight, hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you have not already, and turn on those notifications because we are here every single week with the stories nobody else will tell the full truth about. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. I will see you in the next one. Until then, stay informed, stay curious, and stay royal. Goodbye, friends.